Joe Rogan's verbal takedown of Jimmy Kimmel was like watching a heavyweight fighter land a flurry of punches in a ring made of tofu. He came out swinging, exposing the absurdity of Kimmel's transformation from a crude, frat boy comedian to a polished, morally superior late-night host. But even as Rogan threw haymakers, there's a sense he's still trapped in a strange, kale-infused echo chamber, Hollywood's ultra-progressive bubble, where ideas bounce around without ever breaking free. Kimmel, once the king of beer-soaked antics, now plays the role of a woke preacher delivering sermons with a laugh track. Rogan didn't just call him out, he dismantled the entire late-night charade with the precision of a wrecking ball. Yet, the deeper question lingers. Is Kimmel's shift a genuine evolution, or is he just a shapeshifter adapting to whatever keeps him safe from the Twitter mob? Let's dive into the chaos, no safety net, just raw analysis, and unpack this cultural cage match. Rogan's critique cuts to the core of what late-night television has become. Back in the day, hosting a show like The Tonight Show or having your own late-night slot was the pinnacle of comedy. It was the dream gig, your name in lights, a desk, a band, and an audience ready to laugh on cue. Kimmel, Fallon, Letterman, they all chased that golden ticket. But to keep that seat, you had to mold yourself into something else. The rebellious, boundary-pushing comic had to become a safe, corporate-approved mouthpiece. Rogan pointed out the hypocrisy with surgical clarity. Kimmel, the guy who once hosted The Man Show, a testosterone-fueled circus of fart jokes and scantily clad women, now lectures the world like he's got a PhD in ethics. The same guy who thought blackface skits and tossing around the N-word in comedy bits were hilarious now plays the role of Captain Morality, complete with tearful apologies when his past comes knocking. The shift is jarring. Kimmel's old show was a shrine to unfiltered bro humor, a place where political correctness was about as welcome as a vegan at a butcher shop. Fast forward, and he's pivoted so hard into progressive talking points that you'd think he was auditioning for a TED Talk. When old clips of his less-than-woke comedy surfaced, he issued the mandatory mea culpas, but the question remains, is this a heartfelt transformation or just a savvy rebrand to stay relevant? Rogan leans toward the latter, and he's not alone. Kimmel's journey from crass comic to moral arbiter feels like a calculated move, like a mall store slapping a new logo on after a PR disaster. He's not the only one, either. The entire late-night landscape has morphed into a predictable parade of safe, sanitized humor, where hosts tiptoe around anything that might spook advertisers or spark a hashtag campaign. Late-night shows aren't just about jokes anymore. They're high-stakes machines designed to deliver ads while wearing a comedic mask. Hosts like Kimmel and Fallon aren't just entertainers. They're spokesmodels for networks, tasked with being funny enough to keep viewers but tame enough to keep sponsors happy. It's a delicate dance. Be edgy, but only in a way that pairs well with oat milk lattes. Above all, don't alienate the brands footing the bill. This pressure shapes everything, from the monologue to the guest list. The result? A homogenized product that feels less like comedy and more like a focus-grouped corporate presentation. Kimmel's pivot to political commentary, especially his relentless anti-Trump rants, is a prime example. He rode the wave of progressive outrage, but it came at a cost. His ratings tanked as he alienated half his audience. Rogan called it like he saw it. Kimmel's show became a one-note Trump-bashing machine, less about laughs and more about preaching to the choir. The decline of late-night television isn't just Kimmel's story, it's an industry-wide implosion. Around 2016, when political polarization hit fever pitch, hosts like Kimmel, Colbert, and Fallon leaned hard into partisan commentary. It was as if they collectively decided to wave goodbye to half their viewers, betting that pandering to one side would secure their relevance. Spoiler alert, it didn't. Ratings plummeted like a bad sitcom in its second season. Conan O'Brien, a veteran of the game, ditched the traditional format altogether. James Corden bowed out, leaving his carpool karaoke legacy behind. Trevor Noah exited The Daily Show with a grin, as if he knew the ship was sinking. These departures weren't random, they were symptoms of a format that's lost its spark. The audience didn't just tune out, they found something better. Enter podcasts, the scrappy underdogs that turned the entertainment world upside down. Shows like Rogan's podcast didn't just compete with late-night television, they obliterated it. Podcasts stripped away the fluff, no 5-minute celebrity interviews gushing about how amazing their co-stars were, no cringeworthy sketches, no teleprompter-dependent monologues. Instead, they offered real conversations, unfiltered and unhurried. Rogan's platform, in particular, became a cultural juggernaut, pulling in numbers that made late-night hosts sweat. In 2018, when Rogan was already outpacing traditional TV in viewership, he was hosting scientists, comedians, thinkers, and even the occasional wild card, all without the corporate leash. His guests weren't there to plug a movie in 5 minutes before a commercial break. They were there to talk, sometimes for hours. That raw, unscripted vibe became the antidote to late night's overproduced slog. The contrast is stark. Late-night shows are like assembly line comedy, every punchline polished to a sheen and every reaction choreographed. The audience is practically puppeteered, producers cue applause, warm-up acts coach the crowd to laugh on command, and glowing signs flash, "Clap now," like it's a dystopian pep rally. It's not about entertaining, it's about control. When a show needs a literal applause sign to get a response, it's not comedy, it's manipulation. Rogan nailed it when he said the format feels fake. The pressure to cram meaningful conversation into a 5-minute slot, interrupted by ads and producer notes, kills any chance of authenticity. Compare that to a podcast, where a 3-hour discussion can unfold naturally, and it's no wonder why viewers are jumping ship. Kimmel's own history underscores the shift. Rogan recounted how, before politics took over, Kimmel was a welcoming guy, greeting guests on the sidewalk outside his studio. But as the cultural tides turned, so did Kimmel's persona. He didn't just lean into politics, he dove in headfirst, turning his show into a platform for progressive talking points. When Rogan had a controversial guest on his podcast, Kimmel didn't hesitate to take a jab, calling Rogan and his team doofuses. It was a cheap shot, but it backfired. Rogan's response wasn't just a clapback, it was a full-on dissection of Kimmel's hypocrisy and the broader late-night decline. While Kimmel's show struggled to stay relevant, Rogan's platform thrived, proving that authenticity trumps artificiality every time. The Elon Musk angle adds another layer to this saga. When Musk tweeted a joke about pronouns, "My pronouns are prosecute/Fauci," Kimmel fired back with a quip of his own, "Your pronouns are and." It was a solid burn, the kind of sharp wit you'd expect from a seasoned comic. Rogan even gave him props for it, acknowledging Kimmel's roots as a quick-witted comedian. But the moment was quickly overshadowed by the backlash. Some fans chided Kimmel for even joking about pronouns, as if humor itself had become a minefield. It's a perfect snapshot of the cultural tightrope Kimmel walks. He's still got the instincts of a comic, but he's tethered to an audience that demands ideological purity. The man show version of Kimmel would have doubled down on the joke. Today's Kimmel has to tiptoe around the outrage. This tension highlights the broader issue with late-night television. The format used to be a playground for irreverence, a place where hosts like Letterman or Leno could poke fun at everyone without fear of a Twitter storm. Now, it's a high-wire act where one wrong word can tank a career. Hosts are less comedians and more brand managers, carefully curating their image to align with the cultural moment. Kimmel's anti-Trump crusade, for example, wasn't just a personal stance, it was a strategic move to stay relevant in a polarized world. But it came at a cost. By doubling down on politics, he alienated viewers who just wanted a laugh, not a lecture. The ratings reflect it. Late-night shows are bleeding viewers faster than a horror movie loses supporting characters. Podcasts, meanwhile, are thriving because they reject the corporate mold. Rogan's show, for all its controversies, is a masterclass in staying true to its roots. He doesn't answer to advertisers or network executives, he answers to his audience. That freedom allows him to host a Nobel laureate one day and a conspiracy theorist the next, all without sanitizing the conversation. It's not about pandering to one side, it's about letting ideas breathe, even the messy ones. Late-night shows, by contrast, feel like ideological echo chambers, where guests are pre-screened to fit the narrative and jokes are vetted to avoid offense. The result is a sterile product that feels less like entertainment and more like propaganda with a laugh track. Rogan's critique also touches on the performative nature of late-night audiences. The applause signs, the warm-up acts, the producers coaching the crowd, it's all part of a machine designed to manufacture reactions. When a host like Kimmel delivers a monologue, the laughter isn't always organic, it's prompted, cued, and controlled. Compare that to a podcast, where the only cue is the host's curiosity. There's no need for a glowing sign to tell listeners when to care. They're already invested because the conversation feels real. That authenticity is why podcasts have become the new late night, stealing the audience that traditional TV lost. Kimmel's transformation is a microcosm of this shift. He went from a guy who thrived on crude, boundary-pushing humor to a polished host who cries on air about social issues. Whether it's genuine or strategic, the change reflects the pressures of the industry. To survive in late night, you have to play the game, align with the right causes, avoid the wrong jokes, and keep the advertisers smiling. But that game comes with a cost. Kimmel's ratings have suffered, and his show feels like a relic of a bygone era. Meanwhile, Rogan's podcast continues to dominate, proving that people crave substance over polish. The irony is that Kimmel's still got the chops. His pronoun jab at Musk showed he can still land a punch. But he's trapped in a format that demands conformity over creativity. Late-night television isn't dying because it's not funny, it's dying because it's not real. The manufactured laughs, the scripted spontaneity, the ideological gatekeeping, it all feels like a betrayal of what comedy should be. Rogan, for all his flaws, gets that. His platform thrives because it's unapologetically raw, a place where ideas can clash without a commercial break to smooth things over. So where does this leave us? Late-night television is at a crossroads, bleeding viewers and relevance, while podcasts like Rogan's redefine what it means to connect with an audience. Kimmel's journey from the man show to moral crusader is a cautionary tale about the dangers of chasing cultural clout at the expense of authenticity. Rogan's takedown wasn't just a jab at one host, it was a middle finger to an entire industry that's lost its way. The question now is whether late night can reinvent itself or if it's doomed to fade into irrelevance, a relic of a time when a glowing applause sign was enough to keep the crowd clapping. For now, the smart money's on the podcasts, where the only script is the truth, and the only agenda is the conversation.